Well, I'm delighted to say that joining me on the Godcast this week is musician Jar Wobble. Jar is a bass player and he's been on the music scene for donkey's years. Jar, it's great to get you on the Godcast. How are you doing?
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, you've got that beautiful Cockney accent. Is London home? Has it always been home, Jar?
I live in the north. I live in Stockport.
You're in Stockport. Wow.
Yeah. I moved up here 25 years ago. I still do a lot of work in London. I'm in London half the time again nowadays. Um, if you want to meet people like me, you go to Essex. London's generally been turned inside out. So bit like Paris or something. You've still got a few poorer people in social housing and all that stuff, but it's very very expensive, as you know. And so all my clan are mainly in Barking and sort of South Essex. So that's where I'd call, that's where the clan are. But anywhere you are should be home, here and now. So everywhere should be home. But I've been in Stockport 20.
Um,
Yeah.
we just lost
So
Jar a minute there because we both got really bad wind where we are, and we don't mean that kind of digestion.
yeah.
Joe, my old man moved up from London years ago and he never went back. And do you like living in the north?
Yeah, I do. I mean, 25 years I've been up here. It was my idea to come up here with the missus. We had a little baby at the time, another one on the way. And I wanted to be near the grandparents who lived in Liverpool. Still, me father-in-law's dead, but me mother-in-law, who's a great ally of mine. I mean, she's not one of them mother-in-laws you make jokes about. Always on my side. Um, she still lives in Liverpool in Anfield. So we moved up to be near them. My missus, who was born in China but grew up in Liverpool, didn't want to move back to Liverpool. She said she'd taken a few years to get out. There's no way she wanted to go back there. She was happy to move up north, but not to Liverpool. She's ended up running a centre there now anyway, so she
Right.
couldn't get away from Liverpool.
Right.
But it was a different town then. I mean, it's tongue in cheek, you know what I mean? It was a tough old town, bit like the East End, Port Town, and everything. But I come up here and I found the people are, it's that working class sort of thing. Even if people have jumped up a class, they're still very down to earth. They say hello to you. You feel the old social contracts going. If one of my neighbours sees someone trying to nick my car, they will do something, and vice versa. Whereas I was living in, I'm out the East End, and the way it was getting in the last street I lived in, all the young professionals who moved in did a petition about violence and litter and all that stuff. They didn't get me and the few remaining Cockneys to sign. So we kind of thought, well, probably they see us as part of the problem. But you didn't have I had nice next door neighbours, they were lovely. But it went downhill in regards
Yeah.
to all that, without doubt.
Yeah. Have you ever been interviewed by a vicar before? Jar, am I the first?
First to what?
The first vicar to
Yeah, well, I thought I run it past Dean and said, is this a joke? You know, because he said, I'm always wary it's one of your mates, sort of like, spring it halfway through, you put, you believed it, and all that. But I think I've done an interview with a Mormon once. It turned out he was Mormon, and
yeah.
I think he was sort of practicing, and was probably high up in that church. I don't know, but where was he from?
My old man grew up in a place New Malden, and then we lived in Tooting till I was about four, and then we came up to Burnley, and he loved it and wished he'd come sooner.
What did he come up for?
He came up for family reasons, a bit like yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
My mum's family was up here, so it came
yeah.
up. So yeah,
Okay, yeah. Well, it's funny. Tooting, I've moved all the way up here, and it's funny. I've ended up doing a community thing that I tried to get going up here called Tuned In, and I ended up doing it in the borough of Merton. I got a good mate there on the council who really helped me with it, which Tooting's in Merton. So, funny enough, I've got very strong links with that area now. Funny enough, with Tooting, I'm there. as much as I'm up there. You know, a coincidence. You know, it's a sort of pretty a fairly anonymous part of town. You know, sort of in a suburb, and I'm there a lot. There's social deprivation there as there is everywhere, of course. You know, so we have people come off the estates there, and people that are kind of some that actually sort of homeless, as well as people that are lovely regular doing, you know, with jobs and doing well. It's like a musical thing. But I also, so I'm in the borough a lot doing that, and I'm also go and see AFC Wimbledon a lot. It's a fan-owned club. I've got very good friends there, so I'm often there. So I'm in that area as much as Stockport nowadays.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've got friends who follow Wimbledon. Yeah, I got mates who follow Wimbledon Football Club, and but I'm a big Burnley fan, me, so I go and watch the Clarets.
Ah,
But
good for you. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but like, so this, I'm interested in a couple of things, Joe. One is the kind of community stuff and the spiritual stuff with music, because we've just started a youth choir at our place for the kids, and they seem to enjoy it, and I suppose if I'm being honest, I'm trying to link them to try and something spiritual. Are you a spiritual kind of guy, Joe? Or have you ever been kind of that way out?
Oh, fuck me. Pardon me, French. Very much. Yeah, I was brought up strict Roman Catholic. I was an altar boy. My dad's brother was a Catholic priest. My mum's family were even more hardcore. Well, actually, though, both sides were hardcore Catholic, you know. Um, and so, yeah, I was brought up very much, you know, with that tradition, and I was very drawn to spirituality. So I ended up reading the Upanishads, you know, great Vedanta teachings, very young, like 15. I was very much, what the fuck is this all about? You know, and I mean, what a strange thing reality is. My God, you know, it's very weird, you know. The more you look at it, stranger it gets, really. The only two things I really took from that, to be honest, was the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost, so that moves quicker than thought, the divine presence of sorts, you could call it, and the Holy Mother, Mother Mary, which I suppose is a pretty Catholic thing. That was the approachable. You could approach the mother, the kind mum, and ask for something. Whereas God was very much fire and brimstone God that, you know, wouldn't even be aware of your existence, and wouldn't want to be bothered. You know, you risked his wrath if you dared to try and contact. You wouldn't be listened to anyway. So you kind of, I'm what I called a side altar guy. You know, I've always in churches always preferred the side altar, but it moved on, and I just eased towards Buddhism. I remember many years ago I said I'd never be a Buddhist. There's no central control. How could you be a Buddhist? Although I had a lot of respect for it and found it a very interesting philosophy. But I moved more and more that way until I become a Buddhist, good few years ago now. You know, I'm very careful saying that to people because I think there's a lot of Buddhists that are absolute tossers, and you know, maybe I shouldn't say that, but you know, a bit, you know, sometimes it's a kind of goes into a new agey thing and merges with a mindfulness. But proper Buddhism, guts and blood Buddhism, sort of suits me. You know, that's good for me. That's my definitely suits my temperament and my path. I'm not a Vajrayana kind of guy. You know, probably Catholicism put me off rituals and bells and smells and all that. I actually always like Calvinism and Protestantism, where you don't need the agent, you don't need the middleman, you go straight to source, and it has to be that way, you know.
How much
To
is
come across
Joe?
that,
Sorry, mate. I was going to say, how much has music influenced you spiritually? I don't think I'd be a priest without
well,
music.
yeah, it's everything's connected, isn't it? Everything's connected, you know. So, um, you know, when I was, you know, music basically, it quietened the OCD kind of mind. And for me, you know, it's very much music. You know, I'm not po-faced, but it's generally it functioned as a sacred kind of thing. You know, even if it was a dub track, it had a sacredness to me that just opens up your that quiet presence. You know, stops the churning forward motion of thinking and what Buddhists call mental volitions, tendencies, habitual tendencies. It gets you into that still space, you know.
What about I mean, you're a bit older than me, and when I was a kid in the 80s, Joe, there was like all sorts of influences around. I was thinking about this. There was like Madness, there was UB40, there was a New Romantic kind of coming on the scene. What was what was beating your drum, for want of a better word, when you were a teenager? Can you remember the first kind of song or a
Oh, I
song
can
that
tell you
kind of really
everything.
got
Yeah,
you?
the first record I ever bought was under pressure from me mum. Really, was "Welcome to My World" by Jim Reeves. So it was really the second record I ever bought, which was Bill Ives' "Froggy Goes a Courting." It's like skiffle. That was actually the first song that I liked and sort of bought. There was also a theme tune. I thought it was to Animal Magic, but it's not. It's da 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 da. I think it might be Joe Loss Orchestra or
Yeah, I
somebody.
think it is.
It's a fairly, is it? Yeah, I can't
I
remember the
think it is.
title.
Yeah.
I always forget, but that was the theme tune to something, and I loved it. So that was the first thing I can remember sticking in my mind was that tune. Um, and then I really liked the ska hits of the 60s. Where I lived, the record shop Paul's had a list of blue beat. They used to call ska blue beat. There was blue beat top 40, which kind of mirrored the regular top 40. So Desmond Decker and all that, I loved that. And I never moved away from that. Even when it went slightly unfashionable between 71 and sort of 72, 73, 74, I still stayed with it. And then, of course, in 74, reggae burst forth, 74, 75. Also, early 70s, I was very much into Stevie Wonder, Sound of Philly. I love the strings and the congas. Obviously, Tamala was a big thing. This is all the popular music of my time, really.
Mm.
David Bowie, I liked. I didn't worship him the way a lot did. I mean, I like Bowie. I think he's a good guy. He had good heart, I think. But uh, he was a huge thing. Ziggy Stardust and all that. These are the big hits. And there were wonderful pop acts like Sweet, and people like that, Tony Visconti Productions. And as it moved into the 80s, I'd kind of gone beyond and was moving out yet again. You're back to the Holy Spirit, you're back to the boundless ocean. You're looking to die in a way. You're looking to lose your localized little self, in call it God. I don't mind to use the word God, as a process. Um, and so I started getting into Miles Davis, electric period, which is pretty brutal, it's pretty primal. But I wanted to go beyond any sort of structure, or you want to just absolutely lose yourself in music. And dub fulfilled that function as well, you know. And it's not to, obviously, there's always been good pop music. I think the era I grew up was really good pop, but Madness were fantastic. I mean, a great act, real characters. There were some great hits around that time, but I was by that point going out into the world of jazz, and world music, of course, was a big thing for me. So I was listening to a lot of African music.
My old man played jazz on the piano, and to be honest, he turned me off it. What is it about jazz that is like that? It's like Marmite music, isn't it? You either love it or
Yeah,
what.
I tell you, I come to jazz. It's interesting. I stopped at Paul's record, and he had a stall at Whitechapel Station. So I'd buy singles and that from him. I'd buy get the pre-releases actually from the shops on the Friday morning, and I'd go to Daddy Cool and some of the reggae shops and get the 7-inch pre-releases. But I'd also go and get pre-releases from a electrical fitting shop in Petticoat Lane, Wentworth Street. And I'd go there, and there'd be all the electrical fittings. There'd be a box of soul stuff, and so I was a soul boy. So I'd check out stuff like Johnny Handy, um, Expansions, Lonnie Liston Smith, and then through listening to these jazz funk records, I became interested in someone like Lonnie Liston Smith, and I seen that he played with Pharaoh Sanders. So then I heard the creator has a master plan, which is beautiful. It's quite holy kind of music. People like Coltrane and and Pharaoh, really deep. Coltrane's wife, Alice Coltrane, went to India. They're deep, they're deep in. And I couldn't call the creators got a master plan. I couldn't. Is that jazz? I'm not sure. People would call it jazz, but you got that. You got bebop, which I'm not particularly crazy about. You know, I'm not particularly crazy about sort of New Orleans stuff, although I like sort of funeral stuff and all that. But it was very much the stuff that crossed over with jazz funk and electric, sort of real electric, like Herbie Hancock, Electric Period, Miles, and that's jazz is a it's such a broad church, it's unbelievable. But I can totally understand somebody thinking, "Where's the fucking tune?" And I played with a lot of jazz players where I just think, "Fucking hell, can't you just play a triad?" You know, don't be a bit fucking humble in the face of God. Just play the fucking part. You don't, you're not God. You know what I mean? You don't have to create the world in fucking 7 bars, so to speak. So, I can get the ump with jazz. I really can. And the boys I play with, them, my band, the Love Northern boys, great players, terrific fellas. But I'll often turn up for a sound check. If I do a sound check, they often don't. And they'll be hammering out the jazz funk, and it can be sometimes like, fucking hell, take a step back and actually create something that really suits that space you're in, and drop out the color, sometimes drop out the color and the frills. That's like with our thinking. It's nice to drop out all the prejudices, the tones, the influence, the inferences, the influences, as well as the inferences and the tendencies, and to strip it bare, Calvinist in a way, or like you could say like the Zen tradition of Buddhism. What's wrong with paring things down? That was Kang. That was Jackie Libaze. You know.
It's when I knew you were coming on, Joe. I find it, to be honest, I find it difficult to find the questions because you are such a unique musician, aren't you? You're kind of you. I've been listening to your stuff. I was listening to the bus routes to South London yesterday, and I think I've put that on my playlist now, and it's a real kind of lovely groove. But once upon a time you were in the pill. You were so far removed from that. Now, is that fair? Is like are
Well,
you?
I think the tendency's there. I mean, if you say to yourself, "Was you the same person?" The answer is no. But there's always a continuity, you know. So I'm definitely not the same person as yesterday, but I'm not completely different. There's a continuity. But those a lot of those tendencies and that I believe you come into the world with. You come in with sort of individual sort of tendencies. You don't have it. I don't believe in a concrete soul anymore. I don't believe there's a permanent thing that traverses one life to the next. But the things that traverse, and of course you go beyond linguistics. The thing that there isn't a movement of a fixed entity across, but there is a movement. There's a continuity, and so a lot of that raw essence of what I would have been then is still here now. And the most important essence, that divine presence, if you like, the still, as St. Francis of Assisi said, what you're looking for is where you're looking from. You're always looking from that position, really, but you don't know it, and it's really close to you, you know. And you can call that what you like. I don't care if you called it Buddha nature, don't care if you called it God, don't care if you called it supreme fucking self, don't care if you called it supreme non-self. I'm not bothered. But that's there. So there's a movement, and there is this, when you strip away all the coloring, if you like, you take that away, you take away ornamentation of the personality. What are you kind of left with? So, it's just part of the journey, and the search was on then, very much so, to be fair. So there was a lot of hedonistic. You're taking drugs, you're drinking, you're sometimes behaving like an absolute fucking arsehole, obviously. And that's some of the ornamentation I'm talking about, but the that searching, that forward motion of a good kind, that was there then. So I'm struggling to say that, yeah, I'm different, but very similar in a way. There's a continuity there, you know.
What about the idea of what you do being a gift? Do you think that's what you do is a gift that's been given to you?
Yeah, essentially. And I'll say a couple of things about this. One thing, literal thing, a guy, when I stopped drinking and then I was struggling to get back in the game, I was working in a glass warehouse. I ended up upping the owner's son. He was a bit of a bully, to be fair, the geezer, but shouldn't have done it, you know. And I talked to this bloke who'd helped me with the stop drinking lark. He was like my kind of mentor. He was an ex-submariner sort of bloke, ex chief engineering officer in the Royal Navy, and he used to suck a pipe, you know. And he said to me, and I was telling him what happened. I'd up this geezer. He said, "Well, you know, you shouldn't be doing that. Why'd you do it? Sounds like you're a bit frustrated." And I said, "Yeah, I'm kind of missing playing the music, though. Not sure about being in that sort of environment. I'm not obviously not condoning what I did." And he said, "You know, do you think you've got a gift for music?" And I said, "Well, I do, yeah." He said, "Where do you think that gift come from?" And at the time, I said, "Well, not from me. It must be from God. We always, you know, the absolute, you know." And he said, "Well, don't you think he would want you to use the thing he's given you?" You know, and that was like, fucking hell, that's straightforward, you know. Let's go out and give it a go. And if I'm not rolling within a year with a contract, I'll jack it in. You know, I'll take that as a sign from God, you know. But apart from that, whenever I play, there's a feeling that the bass line has already existed. You know, it was prior somehow. So you're not thinking something up. It's something that it's coming to you, and then you might think about it and act in a compositional manner. You might compose it, but the actual raw essence of it is coming to you pre-existing.
Mm. I interviewed drummer Vinnie Colita, who worked with Sting in the 80s and stuff. And question I think I've got for you, Jar, is like I love going to a gig, and when I know the gig is good when I've kind of lost all my inhibitions and I'm just in the moment and I feel like the band in front of me is the same. And I asked him about that, and he thought it was perhaps he described it as a heavenly language, when the two are connected.
Yeah.
What's that feeling like for you, Joe? When you're doing a gig and you just feel like, it's not you, it's everybody in that room together.
It feels boundless. Words are always linguistics, always insufficient. You know, it's like the alpha wave thing. It feels very sort of boundless and spacious and kind of friction free. You know, there's no. It feels very open. There's no little self getting in the way. You know, they're sort of parking walled into the mind. You know,
Yeah.
you can't park that here, or you need to move on and do something different or something. There isn't. It's just flowing, and it's a lovely feeling of communion. You know. Same thing, even when you go to with fine art or with a painting, with music, it's kind of sequential, although obviously you're getting it moment to moment to moment. There's a totality to it. That's what I liked about Electric Period Miles, by the way. It was a totality to it. It was all engulfing. And if you look at a Rothko painting or whatever, you're taking in the whole painting. It's not sequential like reading a book or listening to a record. Bam. There's a totality to art sometimes that sort of stops the localized personality, stops the thinking, stops the commentary. You know, so you just there. Same can happen with sport at times. I think he's a little bit more tied up with emotion with that. But when Burnley score a last minute winner, although you're more defensively sound this year with Scotty Parker, he's got some defence there. You get score last minute winner. Everybody loses himself in
Yeah.
this, and there is and that feeling goes beyond time, beyond
Mm.
space. It's that's the feeling that it's a primal feeling. It's why football's probably so popular.
Yeah.
Is everyone's looking for that moment.
And what about the future? Another musician I interviewed was Rudy Salzo. He's a bass player like yourself. He's based in America. Are you still excited about what the instrument might offer in the future? You said earlier about not knowing where it's going. Are you still excited about your future as a musician?
Yeah, I'm not excited about my future as a musician. I'm sort of getting old, and I'm in the last furlough probably, so I'm not too bothered about a career or anything. I never really was, but I'd still, when I pick the bass up, especially I'm back on Fender Precision now. Suzuki said it. The beginner's mind is full of possibilities. The expert's mind's full of has few possibilities. So if you're really new and open and you've got the innocent lamb sort of, you know, it's a nice thing to have. We're trained, aren't we, to not be godly, to be cunning, to be worldly. And if you're an innocent, you're a fucking idiot, you're Forrest Gump or something. I think to be innocent is beautiful. If you can be innocent, you're actually protected. The meek inherit the earth in that sense, I think.
Yeah. And the future is you're going out on the road again, aren't you?
Yeah, it never stops really. There's gigs and there's gaps, you know. So we've already done a couple of shows this year, and then we start again in April. Got quite a bit, and then in the autumn there's a big tour coming up. So we've not really stopped. I've been playing with these boys for 15 years. They're such the best band I've ever had in terms of playing and in terms of personality. So this is like bonus years. I didn't think I'd be out on the live circuit and enjoying it as much as I do. They're great fellas. They're good fun. They're nice. They've got good hearts. That always helps.
Joe, it's been brilliant getting you on. I love talking music and thanks for being so honest about the old spirituality stuff and that. And
Oh, the spirit is everything. And what's the best thing? This is where a lot of sometimes Buddhists maybe can learn from Christians. The Christian thing, just if you can't do anything else, just go and fucking help someone. Yeah, because one day you might. So that there's a lot comes from that. So I've got lots of. I'd rather go into a church than a Buddhist temple. I don't believe in the creator God as such, but where there's worship and where's there's that, so it's the same thing in essence. It's just it goes beyond linguistics. It makes no difference to me. Do you know? I'm a Buddhist in terms of I like the methodical application logically. I'm a sutra guy, not a Vajrayana guy. I had a fantastic teacher. I know some marvelous Buddhists as well, so I shouldn't sound like I'm slagging it off. But with Christianity, I like the thing of going out and they're doing good work. Just the Sikhs, I think, as well, are good with that caper. The Sikhs go out and do the dal curries and and look after people, and that's a wonderful thing. And I mean, with Islam, gets a bad press sometimes across the board, and sometimes the way some religions are practiced, I do have a problem with it. I'm not like, oh, I'm really just accept everything at all times. It's not the case. But Islam, in my mind, I've just seen directly terrific, charitable, really warm, charitable. A lot of the doctors I've come across in life, for some reason, that helped me were Muslims, and they were just so caring. There was such a kid that you felt it was more than just it was more than just the oath of being a doctor. There was something else at play.
mm,
Just a real compassionate presence and concern that you pick up on a gut level. You don't go discussing any of that with most people, but you're a vicar, you get it, right?
I get
So,
it. I
you
totally
know,
get it. I just
yeah,
like, I love what you said. I might remove the expletive, but yeah, just go and help someone. Just go and
yeah.
be nice,
Just go
That's
and
all you
just
need to
just
do, innit?
well, that teacher I with the Buddhism, I remember him just finishing a couple of the teachings and just saying, you know what, just go out and be fucking nice. Well, he didn't swear, I swear. He said, just go out and be nice. Just go and be nice. So just go and try and help people. So the tuned in thing was about loneliness. And so you think, right, what's the problem? What could I do something maybe in a relative way to help the world? What's the big issue? Well, loneliness. Most of us know it. We might not want to admit it. We know what loneliness is. And start a
Yeah.
thing for loneliness just for old blokes. We end up with old girls and younger people. And I like to hang, you know. To be honest, I always say it's a musical thing. When I first went there, I'd play a lot with them. Now I'm not bothered. I'd rather hang out, have a tea,
Mm.
have a laugh with them. I got to know everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just be warm and set a nice warm scene and just do something nice for people. You know.
Well, listen, you're not far away from Stockport. If you're ever down Burnley Way, give us a shout or show them a
Oh well, I come
church.
up well. You know, I'm a Tottenham fan. You know, I do. You know, obviously Stockport, and there's a bit of rivalry between Stockport and Burnley, by the way. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
going back
yeah.
to an
It goes
FA
back a
Cup
bit.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, but I'm a Tottenham fan, so I've been to see Tottenham at Burnley a few times over the years, and hopefully, you know, I don't think Tottenham could go down this year. I don't think they will. They deserve to, you know. Part of me would love it, but I'll probably be back up when Tottenham next year when you're Burnley are back in the
We'll be
Championship.
back in the chair. Well, give us a shout and make you brew. Show you
Well, I
the
tell you
church.
what, with that guy Scotty Parker, I really rate as a manager. I did as a player. He was great for us. I think he's a really sound. I like the look of him. He doesn't pretend to be like a lot of the managers. They act like interior designers now.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, I
They
do.
act like they're philosopher poets.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, they
yeah,
can't
yeah.
wait. They're 32 years of age and they can't wait to tell you their fucking philosophy. You know, with football like that, and they remind me of these like a lot of the record producers, and you think, oh fuck off, it's a load of old fanny. Let's just plug in and get going. Do you know what I mean? I've worked with one or two film directors, and they're just they're just so into their little scheme and all that. Scotty Parker, I'd like. There's not lots of smiles. He obviously doesn't suffer fools. So I think he's good. You know, he looks the right man. You know.
Well, listen, I'm going to go and edit this now and take out all the expletives. So the
I'm sorry about that. Yeah,
the
yeah,
interview will
yeah.
be about 4 minutes long, but
No, don't exaggerate. 2 minutes. Sorry about that. I should have
it's all right,
kept
mate.
it quiet. Yeah,
I like
yeah.
the authentic, and but cheers for coming on the Godcast, Jar, and check out
Nice one,
Jar's
Alex.
website. All his dates are there, and God bless you in all you do. Thanks for coming on.
God bless you. See you, Alex. Bye bye, mate.